Yo, what's up, guys? In today's video, oh my god, bro, I forgot this clip. Hold on.
For it is blah blah upon blah 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 upon blah blah, gahgah upon gahgah, gahgah upon gahgah, gahgah 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 gahgah. A little here, a little there.
Yo, what's going, guys? In today's video, I'm gonna be refuting or responding to this guy that made a video about who truly reinvented Jesus, Paul or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I will note that I will not be I'll only be refuting the claims against Islam. So yeah, let's go. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and let's get into it. Chat.
Prophet and his disciples were righteous. In Surah 352, they pledged to follow Allah, and in 355, Allah promises to exalt them until the day of resurrection. So naturally, Muslims hold Jesus' disciples in high regard. But here's the twist.
In fact, we do. The true disciples of Isa alayhi salam was like they followed Isa's teachings correctly, like us Muslims. They prayed just like Isa. Jesus bowed his head down. Disciples bowed his head down. They carried on the message of Jesus, that there is only one God and there's no God beside him.
We see Christian teachings as totally opposed to Islam. Christianity teaches that God became man and died on the cross, ideas Muslims find to be blasphemous. Muslims believe Christian teachings were corrupted, but when?
So the claim that Christians' teachings were corrupted, in fact, is true, and I can prove that.
Back these blasphemous.
Hold on, my bad. Okay, so the claim that the Christian's Bible has been changed is very simple. I can prove it. The oldest Bible was only found in the 4th century, around 300 AD, 330, 360 AD, right? And it was only in Greek. That's the Greek Bible. The Hebrew Bible is only found in the 20th century. So the oldest Bible was found around 300 AD, or the 4th century, right? And it was only written in Greek. What Jesus spoke was never Greek or Hebrew. So if you come with Hebrew claims, it was never Greek or Hebrew. Jesus spoke Aramaic. So those Bibles don't even make sense because it's not even in Jesus' tongue. There's no scientific and backed up evidence to back up that Jesus spoke those words. Yes, the Injil was there, indeed. But you can't say that the Injil wasn't corrupted. Otherwise, the original text will still be preserved till this day in Aramaic and not Hebrew or Greek, because those are the oldest Bibles, Greek and Hebrew. So the claim that
beliefs were part of the earliest church. This means the corruption would have had to have happened during the time of the disciples. The prime suspect, Paul. He's often accused of turning Jesus' message into one about him being God. Some even claim that Paul clashed with Jesus' family and original disciples, sidelining them to push his own views. One major point of contention, Jesus told his followers to uphold the law, while Paul said that a person is justified by faith apart from the works of the law.
That doesn't make sense, because Jesus said, follow this laws that God gave you, that he sent down to Moses, to me. Follow these laws and you'll be granted salvation and freedom and heaven and all that stuff. That part?
Muslims point this out as a huge contradiction. Then there's the argument that Paul never even met the historical Jesus.
Yes, Paul did not meet Jesus. At the time when Jesus was alive, Paul was in modern day Turkey, which means he cannot be near Jesus because Jesus was in modern day Palestine. And
critics suggest Paul was more interested in turning Jesus into the Son of God. But was Paul really deliberately spreading something that he knew to be false? Let's just kill that notion right here in this video.
Okay, he didn't know it was false. He thought it was true. I'm just going to say that. He thought it was true. And turns out it wasn't true. So, yeah. He had strong faith and he believed that it was true. But Allah works in mysterious ways and he made Paul did it.
Paul definitely wasn't lying. Paul believed Jesus was crucified. And before his conversion, he was actively hunting down Christians with the high priest's approval. Switching sides wasn't a smart career move, it was practically a death sentence. Paul was risking his life for converting. What about wealth? Well, Paul definitely wasn't in it for the money. Being an apostle wasn't a pathway of luxury. Paul himself said, "To this very hour we go hungry and thirsty, we are in rags, we are brutally treated, we are homeless." He reminded the Thessalonians, "We worked night and day so we would be a burden to anyone while we preach the gospel." He wasn't in it for some pain. He was literally working to find some message. Did Paul get a Christian in reputation? He doesn't seem like he was a star student under Gamaliel, respected saint, remember. If Paul went cloud saying his Pharisee, he would have spotlight. Instead, he embraced a religion despised by Jews and Gentiles. Paul himself admitted that apostles were seen as the scum of the earth. If fame was his goal, joining a movement that got him labeled as human trash wasn't a great strategy. Well, maybe Paul's after power. After close, he called himself the least of all apostles. And when the Corinthians argued about who was the most important apostle, Paul down. Power just wasn't his game. Compare that to Muhammad, who wielded political and military power.
Okay, so this is a claim that I was eating, right? I was actually like getting ready to go sleep, right? On my PC. I got me something to eat, like a snack, to watch it, feel me? I ate it and I spat out my food completely on my monitor. Because this claim is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. So, let me confirm this for you. The first battle the Prophet Muhammad was mentioned, is the Battle of Badr. The Battle of Badr, that I know of, was a battle between the Muslims and the Quraysh people. The Quraysh people wanted to kill the Muslims, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to lead the Muslims to victory. Second battle, I'm going to state 3 or 4 maybe. Second battle is the Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud was the second battle of the Quraysh and the Muslims. The Muslims lost because the Prophet Muhammad got injured and a lot of Muslims died. I'm going to say the conquest to Mecca. The conquest to Mecca was the final battle that Muhammad... All the battles that the Prophet Muhammad was in was either to protect his people and his land, or because somebody was threatening him. So you cannot say that Muhammad was a whole leader and all that stuff. Just to clarify.
Leading conquests and commanding armies. As for sex, Paul lived a celibate life and held up his own chasteness as an example of holiness. Compare that to Muhammad, who took multiple wives, including marrying...
Okay, so I don't know where this is going. He's going to say that he married Aisha, radiallahu anha. But is that all that Christians can really say? Oh, but Muhammad married Aisha. Isn't she like 6, 9? Isn't she like 9 years old? Oh my god. Oh my god, bro. Shut up, bro. Shut up, bro. It was okay in that time. And it was perfectly fine. Many other people married lower ages. And even today, Italy's age of consent and age of marriage is 14. How is that possible? And guess what? Italy is a majority Christian country. So bro, if you want to talk and you have nothing to say, please don't say that Aisha was married to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what's wrong about having the Prophet having so many wives? What about Solomon? Solomon had 700 wives. What about Ibrahim? Ibrahim had 2 wives. What's wrong about that? What is wrong about that? Please tell me.
Adopted son's ex-wife and a 9-year-old girl, not to mention all his sex slaves. Paul was the exact opposite. No power grabs, no self-serving indulgence. If Paul was making it all up, he definitely...
So, your claim is that Paul didn't have a wife, didn't care about sex, didn't care about anything else except the message. Whereas Prophet Muhammad, he had wives. Sounds like other prophets to me as well. I'm gonna name prophets that had wives here on the screen. He spread the message of God. Sounds like other prophets to me as well. I'm gonna name all the prophets that spread the message of God here. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. So let's continue the video.
He had an uphill battle. He preached to Gentiles that a crucified Jew was Lord over all. To most Jews, a crucified Messiah was offensive. So what did Paul have to convince people? Miracles. He claimed to perform them as evidence of his message. If Paul was a fraud, he must have been that a crucified Jew was Lord over all. To most Jews, a crucified Messiah was offensive. So what did Paul have to convince people? Miracles. He claimed to perform them.
For it is blah blah upon blah 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 upon blah blah, gahgah upon gahgah, gahgah upon gahgah, gahgah 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 gahgah. A little here, a little there.
Claimed to perform them. The phrase.
If Paul was a fraud, he must have been quite a magician. But what did he gain from it? Paul details his suffering. 5 times I received 40 lashes minus 1, 3 times beaten with rods, stoned, shipwrecked, faced dangers from all sides, often without food, cold, and without clothing. Hard to argue that someone would go through all of that for a lie. And what the claim Paul tried to do is law. That's not really true. In 1 Corinthians 17, Paul is not circumcised, if you're not guilty. In fact, when Paul tells them to go through circumcision, he's Jews. Paul's a Jew, so Jesus to remain faithful to their calling. The Jerusalem Council in Acts 15 just confirms this. The apostles and elders, along with the whole church, clarified that Gentile believers didn't have to follow the full Mosaic law, but Jewish believers still observed it.
So he's basically just innovating right now. Because if God tells you to do something, you do it.
Scholars debate the reliability of Acts, but that argument doesn't hold much weight. There is absolutely overwhelming evidence that Acts is a reliable account written by a companion of Paul who knew key figures like Jesus' brother James and the apostles. I'll link some videos for... The word he used for these meetings, historeo, is where we get the word history, showing his deep...
I don't think that's true, man. I think someone by the name of Herodotus, exactly, you just have strong faith in it.
So in the end, who are we going to trust? Paul, who met Jesus' disciples, submitted his message to them, and lived a selfless martyr's life? Or Muhammad, who showed up hundreds of years later in Arabia, had a...
Oh my God! He showed up 600 years after Jesus! Oh my God, wait, it's almost Maghrib. Who are we really going to trust? Someone who never met Jesus, whose Bible wasn't even found, only until... So, are we going to trust him? Or are we going to trust someone who gave us evidence to God's existence, who gave us evidence to everything? There's so many miracles in the Quran. How could someone in the 600 AD know it? How could someone 1,400 years ago know it? I'll make this quick. It's almost Maghrib, and I'm just gonna edit this, and I'm gonna write all the stuff here. Who shoes, who he does. I'm gonna write on the one side Paul, I'm gonna write on the other side Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, that's it. And the claim to say that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came later than Isa alayhi salam, when Isa alayhi salam literally came 1,000 years after Moses to confirm Moses' message. Do you think that claim could work? Do you think that Muhammad came 600 years after Jesus, so it couldn't be him? So Muhammad couldn't be a prophet? We can't trust him. When Jesus literally came 1,000 years after Moses. You got to think, right? You got to think, right? God works in a mysterious ways. We don't know how God works. He can send one prophet one day and then wait 2,000 years to send another prophet, because he works in mysterious ways. You can't make claims like that, because it's gonna backfire on you, man. Anyways, I'm gonna go do Maghrib right now, and I'll see you guys in the next video, inshallah.